Have you ever sat in a room full of people and noticed something strange? Everyone is talking. Voices overlap. Opinions collide. Stories compete for attention. And you are there, quiet. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you are watching. You notice who interrupts, who laughs too loudly, who pretends to agree, who looks tired behind their smile. You see things others miss. And yet, somehow, you leave feeling like you were invisible. Maybe someone even said it before. Why are you so quiet? And every time you hear that question, it carries a hidden accusation, as if silence means weakness, as if speaking less means thinking less. So you start wondering, is something wrong with me? In a world that rewards loud voices, fast answers, and constant opinions, observers often feel like background characters in their own lives. But psychology suggests something surprising. Your silence may not be a limitation. It may be a form of power most people never develop. Because while others are busy being seen, you are busy understanding. The lie about quiet people. From childhood, we are taught a simple rule. The confident person speaks first. The smart person answers quickly. The leader dominates the conversation. Classrooms reward raised hands. Workplaces reward assertiveness. Social media rewards constant expression. So if you naturally pause before speaking, you begin to believe you are behind. You rehearse sentences in your head. You think, I should say something now, but by the time you decide, the moment has passed. And afterward, you replay the conversation again and again. You imagine better responses, stronger words, smarter timing. You assume this overthinking is a flaw. But what if it isn't hesitation? What if it is processing? Psychology shows that some minds are not designed for rapid reaction. They are designed for deep observation. And observation changes everything. The observer's brain. When you observe more than you speak, your brain does something different. It collects patterns, not just words. Energy, tone, micro-expressions. You notice the pause before someone answers a question. You sense tension before an argument begins. You feel shifts in mood that others overlook completely. While talkers release energy outward, observers absorb information inward. It is slower, but it is deeper. Imagine two people entering a new environment. One immediately talks, jokes, and fills the silence. The other watches quietly. Within minutes, the talker knows how they feel. The observer knows how everyone feels. That difference is subtle, but it is powerful, because understanding people is one of the rarest skills in the modern world. Why you often feel drained. Here is the part most observers never realize. You are not tired because you are shy. You are tired because you are constantly analyzing. Your brain is running silent calculations. Who feels safe? Who feels threatened? Who is authentic? Who is performing? This emotional awareness consumes energy. It is like running multiple background programs at once. Others leave conversations energized because they express themselves. You leave conversations exhausted because you understood everyone. And since this work happens automatically, you don't even recognize it as effort. You just think, I'm bad at socializing. But psychology would describe it differently. You are socially perceptive, and perception is heavier than expression. The hidden advantage of watching first. There is a reason skilled negotiators speak last. A reason great therapists listen more than they talk. A reason wise leaders pause before responding. Observation gives you timing. When you watch first, you learn the emotional landscape before stepping into it. You know when humor will land, when honesty will hurt, when silence says more than words ever could. Most conflicts escalate because people react instantly. Observers rarely react. They respond, and that single difference changes relationships. People may not notice your silence immediately, but over time they begin to trust you. Because when you finally speak, your words feel considered, accurate, grounded. You don't talk often, but when you do, people listen. The loneliness of being the observer. There is, however, a quiet pain that comes with this strength. Observers often feel unseen. You understand others deeply, but few people try to understand you. You become the listener, the safe person, the one others confide in. Yet you rarely feel fully known yourself, because explaining your inner world feels difficult. Your thoughts are layered, complex, hard to translate quickly, so you stay quiet, not because you lack depth, but because your depth doesn't fit into fast conversations. And sometimes you wonder, would anyone notice if I stopped talking completely? Here is the truth. They would, more than you think, because observers stabilize social spaces. You are the emotional anchor people subconsciously rely on. The calm presence, the steady energy, the person who doesn't compete for attention. And humans feel safer around calm than they realize. Observation creates insight. History quietly favors observers. Writers who watched humanity before describing it. Scientists who noticed patterns others ignored. Artists who saw meaning hidden in ordinary moments. Insight rarely comes from constant talking. It comes from noticing. When you observe, your brain connects distant ideas. You remember details others forget. You understand motivations beneath behavior. You see causes instead of symptoms. This is why observers often give advice that feels strangely accurate. You weren't guessing. You were collecting data all along. The trap observers fall into. But there is one danger. Observers sometimes believe their role is only to watch life, not participate in it. They wait until they feel perfectly prepared, perfectly confident, perfectly understood. And that moment never arrives. Observation becomes hiding. Awareness becomes hesitation. And slowly, silence turns into self-erasure. Psychology calls this the observer's paradox. The same skill that gives you clarity can also distance you from action, because seeing every possibility makes choosing one harder. But your strength was never meant to keep you invisible. It was meant to guide your actions with precision. You are not meant to speak less forever. You are meant to speak intentionally. The power of selective voice. The goal is not to become louder. It is to become deliberate. You don't need to match the energy of constant talkers. You only need to trust the weight of your voice. Start small. Speak when you notice something meaningful. Share one honest thought instead of 10 rehearsed ones. You will notice something surprising. People lean in. Because authenticity cuts through noise. Your words carry density. They come from observation, not impulse. And slowly, the story you told yourself changes. You are not the quiet person struggling to keep up. You are the observer choosing when to step forward. Your hidden strength. In a noisy world, attention is rare. Deep attention is rarer. And that is what you naturally give. You notice life as it unfolds. You see people as they truly are. You understand before judging. That is not weakness. That is emotional intelligence in its rawest form. The world often celebrates those who speak the most, but history remembers those who understood the most. Your silence was never emptiness. It was preparation. Every observation was a lesson. Every quiet moment was training your awareness. You were learning how humans work. And once you trust that ability, something shifts. You stop apologizing for being quiet. You stop forcing yourself to perform extroversion. You realize you were never missing a strength. You were developing a different one. The strength to see clearly, to listen deeply, to speak with intention. And when observers finally accept who they are, they discover something unexpected. They were never in the background. They were studying the entire scene. If this feels like your story, leave a comment telling me, do you speak first or do you watch first? And if you want more psychology stories that help you understand yourself a little better, subscribe and join this community, because sometimes the quietest minds carry the strongest voices.